This is a scrapbook based on all my trip to Europe this summer. I went to 3 different cities and a few countries. So I call this book The Fancy European. So I did black lace on the cover and used Minte's scrap paper called Her Story. Did some 3D embellishment on the front. So open this up and it has the closet feel to it. So I have a allusion to the exhibit in Bratislava of the Maria Theresa exhibit. So you open up the closet and there we go. And then over here we have another closet. Now, as you know, in Paris, there were crown jewels that were stolen, and I had realized that I took a picture of those crown jewels in September of 2023. So I incorporated one of them. So this is everything fancy about Europe is what this book is about. And that was the brooch that was stolen. We have to hope that we get him back, but it's a paper doll kind of illusion that I've done there. Just developed the photograph at 8.5 by 11 and cut it out of the photograph. Anyway, so this was the cherubs from the Bratislava castle, and cut them out of the photograph too, and found some mirror paper. And I really love the lattice work on the Vienna carriageway at the Hofburg Palace. And when we went to Vienna, kind of stood underneath it. That's the other side. So that's the carriageway. And then there's the mirror at the Charlottenburg Palace in Berlin, or Potsdam. That was the palace for the Prussian Empire back in the 1700s. And this was Queen Sophie Charlotte's prayer room. I was like, whoa, way over the top. Rococo, huh? And, you know, this is one of the things about Jan Hus in Prague. He was really upset that the church had become out of touch with the poor. So hopefully we're more balanced at that now. As a church, maybe, maybe not. In some cases, yes, and in some cases, no. But at least it's the church that has given us the concept of the hospital. And I know that charity can overcome greed. I'm very confident of that. Okay, going back to my travel. This is the ballroom in the Charlottenburg Palace. I think it's really, really gorgeous. And there's a pocket in this book. And here's the castle in Bratislava. We took a day trip from Vienna, and that worked out well. And this is going to lift up. Let's see here. And this is a ode to Maria Theresa, who was the Holy Roman Empire Empress in the 1700s, I believe. That's downtown Bratislava. And Maria Theresa had a lot of architectural and design influence in the Holy Roman Empire, which is where all these castles belong to, and she wanted her own private staircase. This castle was restored with great effort by the citizens of Bratislava. Amazing, because they had to go through the Soviet era and everything, so very proud of them for what they've accomplished there. And I highly recommend visiting Bratislava. It was one of the great memories of our trip. So going farther on here, now we have a waterfall. Let's open up the key, and there's the top of the castle. And along the streets, we've got the manholes labeled with the Trinity relationship of Moravia, Czechia, Czech, Slovakia, and Silesia. This is the ballroom at the Sanssouci Palace in Potsdam, Germany, which was a Prussian palace owned by the Prussian King Frederick the Great. He was the son of Sophie Charlotte, who built Charlottenburg. Here is Prague, kind of going south from Germany. That's the castle there, and then the King Charles Bridge. Went to go see some antiquities at the museum in Prague, and that's a Bible that was written in, I think, 1200, 1400, somewhere around there. Here's the Sanssouci Palace again. in Potsdam, and Steve and I about ready to conquer the stairs. And I didn't realize it, but Berlin used to be called Brandenburg, and it used to have a wall around it way before like World War II wall. I'm not talking about that, but anyway, it was a protective wall. And the Brandenburg Gate is the only thing that's left of that thing. In Potsdam, there's a Brandenburg Gate too. I guess the name Brandenburg was part of the Prussian Empire before it was really formally Berlin. So then we have, oops, let's see here. Okay, so in Berlin, as I was waiting for Stephen's concert practice, he did perform at the Berlin Philharmonie. When he was practicing for this concert, that practice space was across the street from the Charlottenburg Palace. And so that's why I have those two photos together. Okay. Now, fine dining. This is amazing because the ceiling, this is the ceiling in Charlottenburg. Now, I want you to look at this porcelain soup tureen, okay? Look, it's the same design as the ceiling. Amazing. So, we did a lot of fine dining in Europe, and there was this amazing restaurant in Vienna, and that was our bread rolls. And the basement of the restaurant goes back to the 1600s. And let's see here. I pretended to sit down at the table, and the dishes, remember the Disney allusion to Ask the Dishes in Beauty and the Beast? So this soup tureen, which is gorgeous, it's huge in reality. And what would be in the soup tureen, but maybe this beef dish, can't remember the name of it right now, but then there's goulash. So I'm sure all those fine dishes were served back in the day. I'll close that. And then that's the inside, let's see here. So here's the inside cone of the dome right there, but that's the Reichstag, which existed during the Prussian Empire, became the capital of Berlin, Berlin's Capitol building, and the Allies did bomb it during World War II, and they replaced the dome with a glass dome that looks into the center parliament, which is supposed to mean that the people are in charge of the government and not the other way around. Then you go across the street, and there's a model of the city, and I did two photographs on top of the other and did a little 3D effect there. Okay, so there's that. Then we walk over here. I open up this closet, and because I'm in the region of Bohemia, I put a little Bohemian poem there. And then I just love that paper, isn't it pretty? And here's the other part of Sans Souci. So it's just a collection of my fancy pictures from these 3 cities, or 4. When we went to Bratislava, we were able to eat at Kormuth's, and that's what it looks like on the inside. I'm telling you, that swan was absolutely amazingly delicious. And then there's porcelain that's celebrated. There was it's called Halleck porcelain. It was made by a people group that had religious persecution in Italy in like the 1200s, and they moved to Slovakia and designed their own stuff. So there's my book. Enjoy. Thank you so much for listening.